Product of array except self. Given an integer array nums, return an array answer such that answer of I is equal to the product of all elements of nums except for nums of I. Okay, so they give us an example of nums 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the idea is that everything in the array except for 1 is the equivalent of 24. So 2 times 3 times 4 is 24. Everything but the 2 multiplied together becomes 12, which is 3 times 4, and so on. So the idea behind this can get a bit confusing. So we're going to go ahead and write it out on the whiteboard to kind of break this down into simpler terms. Okay, so we're going to start with this example, and it can get a bit confusing. So we're going to break it down and not worry about the code right now. We want to understand the principles of how this works, right? So let's go ahead and start with that. So the idea behind this is we want to look at this array in terms of left and right of whatever indice we are on. So let's take the second indice or the number 3, for example. If we're on this indice, the idea behind this is we don't care what these indices are right now. What we care about is this third one, right? So what is the answer for the third? Well, it can be broken down into 1 times 2 times 4, which the answer will be 8, right? We understand that because that's pretty straightforward. But what we need to understand is that there are 2 products that are leading us to this. We first have our left. I apologize, this is with a mouse. And we have our right. I'm just going to leave it. I'll do it. All right, that's not too bad. Okay, so we have our left, which makes up 2 and 4. And then multiplied those together gives us our 8, right? The idea behind this is we're going to have to worry about efficiency. The idea behind this is we're going to have to worry about efficiency. So we can't necessarily clutter it with ifs and a bunch of different storage of multiple arrays and such. So we want to break this down into left and right. And then that in itself is its most basic form. So let's go ahead and clear this. So starting back with the example, let's go ahead and break it down into a left and a right array. For sake of time and our sanity, I will not write letters that much. Okay, we'll keep it with L and R. So we're going to look at this one with respect to the left side. So what we need to do is this one right here. What values are on the left side? And we can see that there's nothing on the left side. There's nothing to the left. It's the first indice. The thing that we need to be cautious about is putting a 0 anywhere in these arrays, because if we put a 0 here, it means our 0 will be multiplied by a value, which will mean it's 0. So we cannot put a 0 here because it'll just end up being 0 no matter what the other side is. And obviously there's no 0 here. So we need to place a 1. And that will mean whatever else is on the right side times 1 will still equal whatever's on the right side. So we start with 1 because there's nothing to the left. We go to this 2, and what is to the left of it? We only have a 1, so we'll put a 1 here. And we go to our 3, 2 and 1, we have a 2. And we go to our 4, we have a 3 times 2 is 6 times 1 is 6. So that is our left array. Okay, and let's go to our right array. So starting from 1, what is to the right? We have 2 times 3, which is 6, times 4 is 24. So everything to the right of this first, not including it, is 24. Then we go to 2. Everything to the right is 3 times 4, which is 12. Everything to the right of 3 is 4. And there's nothing to the right of 4, which means it's not a 0, but it's a 1. Otherwise, it will turn into a 0 at the end, which is not something we want. So now that we have our 2 arrays, essentially all we need to do is multiply them together. Is 1 times 24 So we have 24. 1 times 12, which is 12. 2 times 4 is 8. And 6 times 1 is 6. And that is our final answer. And this is how we broke it down in order to get there. Okay, so we have our answer, but one key thing that we should notice is a pattern that is happening. And this pattern is this 1 multiplied by whatever, whenever we take whatever's to the left, it returns, goes to the next indice of the left side. So all we're doing is multiplying the first by the next one to get the next indice, right? So we don't necessarily need to multiply in order to get 6. We don't need to multiply 1 by 2 by 3. All we have to do is multiply 3 by the previous indice to get our 6, right? Because 1 and 2 has already been multiplied in our system to get that 2. We don't need to redo that math. This is something that will come back up later on in the code, and it's just something important to understand. So for the example of the 24 and the 12, go ahead and erase that. How did we get the 12? Well, we multiplied the 4 by the 3 to get the 12, right? Makes sense? Now we have the 12. How do we get the 24? Well, we just did all of the numbers to the right of the 1, which is 2. And then we already had these 2 multiplied, so we just use that product already. 2 times 12 is 24. This will come up later on in the code, but it's an important concept to understand. Okay, so now we're going to look a bit more at the code side, and I'm going to try to break this down into the simplest terms. We know, for starters, we are going to end with some kind of answer. So we're going to define our answer. And what we need to do is we're going to loop through the actual array that's provided. Okay, so something that we need to understand is that we are going to have to use some kind of placeholder. This placeholder can be named whatever you'd like, but I'm going to name it left product for now. I will explain a bit why. I'm not going to define it yet because I want to explain why we need this. So the concept of this is we are at indice x of numbers. So we have 1, right? And we know that nothing to the left, since this is our left array, this is what we're generating. And we know there's nothing to the left, right? So we're going to want to set our answer equal to answer of x, so the indice that is provided, equal to that 1, right, for the left side. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this placeholder value of 1 for left product set to 1. So we're going to use left product here. And that is simply setting it whatever's to the left of it. Okay. And then after we actually assign this value, right, this runs and then there'll be a 1 in here after the first iteration. And we need to reset this value because we want it to be an accumulator, essentially. So we have left product and it's accumulating the values. And what we actually need this to do is to set it up so that the next time this for loop runs, it sets the value of 1 times the next indice. And what we can do is we can multiply that by the nums of x. What this is going to do is we're going to use shorthand. So we want to multiply these two and then reset left product, right? So for left product, we have 1 here. We are going to multiply it by nums of x, which would be 1 in this sense. So left product is still 1 for the first iteration. Now, when we get to the second iteration, which means x is equal to 1, and our nums of x is 2. So let's go ahead and break this down. This will look like answer of x is going to be equal to left product, which we know is 1. And then here, what we know is left product is still equal to 1. And we were going to multiply it equal to this nums of x. Nums of x is now 2, right? So we have 1 times 2, and we're going to redefine left product to be that value. And I'll just adjust these for now so that we understand what is going on. So this left product is now 2, right? Because 1 times 2 is 2. All right, and now we're in our third. We are taking our third value, which for this case, x is equal to 2. And now our left product, our answer of x is equal to a left product, which is now 2. And our left product, which is 2 times num of x, which is 3. That means this is 6. Our left product is now equal to 6. Mind you, we need to place that in that array, that value in that array. Mind you, these values I'm just putting in here so that you understand how this loop works. These will not be hard-coded values. Okay, so we are on our third iteration where x is equal to 3. So answer of x, which is in the third indice, is now going to be set equal to 6 because we have our 6 set previously. And we are going to place our 6, and it doesn't really matter down here, but for the sake of it, it's 6 and num of x is 4, but we don't really need that yet. So this is our end value. And if you notice, this is our left array. We have our left array here of 1, 1, 2, 6. And we have our left array of 1, 1, 2, 6 here. Great. So we've developed our left array. Now we need to figure out how this works in a sense for the right array. And the way it works is pretty much exactly the same, except for we're going to go from right to left rather than from left to right. So all that means is we need to write our for loop so that it is going from right to left. So the for loop, it starts at the max value of the array of nums, or the max length, and we are going to, as long as it's greater than or equal to 0, and then we're going to subtract 1 each iteration. And literally, this works the exact same way because we still have this answer as the array up here. So what we need to do is set our answer. We need to set it equal to a similar value of left product. Mind you, this needs to be let. We're going to let right product equal to 1, same way, because we don't want anything to the right to equal 0. And we need to set answer of x. And now the slight tweak that we need to make, rather than creating a whole new array that's like right array, we're simply going to be taking our answer, so whatever this value is, and we want to multiply it by whatever our next right product is. So we have answer of x, and we need to multiply and set it equal to our right product. And we get it up here, except for we are now multiplying and setting equal. So now that we've done that, we're going to have to do a similar thing from the previous for loop, where we set right product multiplied equal to num of x. Now, technically, it's probably bad practice to use x, so let's go ahead and switch it for y. Okay, so in the same way, let's go ahead and run through. Okay, so in the same way, let's go ahead and run through this concept and adjust our final answer. So let's say starting here, we're starting at the end, so y is going to equal 3. And so for answer of y, right now it is 6. So we have 6. We want to multiply, set that equal to of the right product, which is 1. And we have our right product of 1. And multiply that by num of y, which is 3, which is 4. And that is going to set our right product. So answer of y can now be redefined as this value, which is 6. So we have 6 still. Great. We don't need to replace anything because it's just a 1. And right product is now going to equal 4. Cool. Let's go down through our next loop. Y is equal to 2. So answer of y, which is 2. And we're going to multiply that by the right product, which is 4, as we can see. And then our right product is going to be 4 still. And our num of y, num of 2, is going to be 3. So now we can set these values. So answer of y now equals 8, because we took that 2 and multiplied it by 4. So now we have 8. We have our right product, and we're setting it equal to that 12. Okay, and let's continue on with y is equal to 1. 1 is 1 here. So 1, right product is equal to 12. Right product is equal to 12. Num of y is equal to 2. And then we can set answer of 1 here equal to this value of 12. 12. And right product is going to be 24. And our final run, answer of y of 0, which is 1. And our right product is 24. Right product of 24. And num of y is 1. And then we can reset our answer of y to 24. And our right product doesn't necessarily need to be reset, but it would still be 24. So as you can see, this is our final answer. And you can compare it to this value that they provided, and it is the same. So essentially what we're doing is we're running through this to generate our left array. And then we're running through this one to generate our right array, while at the same time multiplying it by the left array. A simpler way of doing this, and maybe a bit more taxing way of doing this, would be to generate both arrays this way and then create another for loop at the end to multiply the two arrays together. We are simply skipping a step by doing this in order to speed up the process. All we have to do is return answer, and we should have to make sure to reset if you followed along with these values. Product equal to 1, right product equal to 1, and we should be able to submit. And we have an issue. Should be nums. Apologies. Let's go ahead and try that again. My apologies. Make sure that this is greater than. I believe I said y greater than or equal to 0, but I put less than. But yeah, as soon as it runs up until the 0th indice, it should work great. So that is our final answer for product of array except self. I hope this helped.